we're going to dig into the latest World Inequality Report. And it's a real eye-opener. It lays out some pretty shocking truths about our global economy. But here's the kicker. It also delivers this really powerful message that the extreme inequality we see all around us, it's not something we're just stuck with. So, yeah, let's get right into it.
Okay, first up, let's try to wrap our heads around the sheer scale of this. The report throws out some numbers that are, frankly, staggering. They really put the global wealth gap into a sharp new perspective.
It all starts with this one number, just 56. Now, in a world with, 8 billion people, what on earth could 56 possibly mean?
Well, that number, 56, that's how many adults are in the top 1 in a millionth of the entire global population. I mean, just let that sink in for a second. We're talking about a group so small you could literally fit them all inside a single classroom. And yet, they hold an almost unbelievable amount of the world's financial power.
And look, this insane concentration of wealth, it's not a static picture. It's actually getting more extreme. Since the 90s, the wealth of billionaires has been growing at about 8% a year. Now compare that to the growth for the entire bottom half of humanity, which is around 4%. So their wealth is growing at nearly double the rate. The gap isn't just wide, it's actively getting wider year after year. So the big question is, why? Why is this happening? The report makes a really strong case that this isn't just about a few people getting rich. It's actually built into the system itself. It's rooted in these deep, often invisible structural divides that are kind of baked into how our world works.
Let's take gender, for instance. If you just look at the official numbers, the paid work that shows up on a paycheck, the data says that women globally earn about 61 cents for every dollar a man makes. And yeah, that's already a huge gap. But believe it or not, that's not even the full story. Because what happens when you start to factor in all the unpaid domestic work? The cooking, the cleaning, the childcare, all the stuff that disproportionately falls on women? Well, the gap absolutely explodes. The report shows that women's real earnings drop to just 32 cents for every dollar a man earns. This huge, invisible economy of unpaid work, it more than doubles the gender pay gap. It's just massive.
Okay, so there's another hidden divide, and this one operates on a global scale. The report has a name for it, exorbitant privilege. And it's basically this built-in advantage that lets a handful of wealthy countries kind of rig the entire global financial system to benefit them.
But how does that actually work, right? It sounds kind of backwards. How can a system be set up so that wealth is literally flowing from poorer countries to richer ones?
Well, it's actually pretty simple when you break it down. The world's richest countries, they consistently earn high returns on the money they invest in other places. At the same time, they pay really low interest on what they owe. Now, for the other 80% of countries, it's the complete opposite. They get low returns on their assets, and they have to pay high costs on their debts. It's a one-way street, and it's basically designed to pump wealth upward, from the many to the few. And this isn't just some abstract financial game, It's not just numbers on a balance sheet. This system has very real, very human costs. It directly affects people's lives and the public services they depend on. Just look at this. The amount of money that poorer countries lose to the system, what the report calls the cost of privilege, it's mind-boggling. We're talking about 2 to 3% of their entire GDP every single year. Now, to put that into perspective, that's often the same amount they're able to spend on public health or on education. It's a massive drain of resources that should be going to their own people.
And this is a really crucial point the report makes. This isn't just, the way the economy works. It's not inevitable. These imbalances are reinforced again and again by political choices. Choices about taxes, choices about public investment, choices about who's going to foot the bill for things like climate change.
Which brings us to what is maybe the single most powerful idea in the entire report. If these systems are built on choices, well, that means we can make different ones.
This one line from the report's foreword really says it all. Inequality is not destiny, but choice. That simple idea completely reframes the whole problem, doesn't it? It takes inequality from being some kind of unavoidable fact of life and turns it into a problem that we can, and should, actively work to solve.
So what do those different choices actually look like? Well, the report lays out some really clear, proven solutions. Things like investing in public goods for everyone, like education and healthcare, or implementing programs that redistribute wealth, like cash transfers and pensions. It means finally getting serious about gender equality by recognizing and valuing all that unpaid care work. And of course, it means designing tax systems that are actually progressive, where the wealthiest among us contribute their fair share. And we're not just talking about abstract theories here. Just check this out. The report floats one specific idea. What if we had just a 2% tax on the world's 3,000 or so billionaires? That alone could raise $250 billion every single year. I mean, can you imagine what you could do with that? That's enough to fund massive global efforts in health, in education, in fighting climate change.
So that's where we're left. The evidence is pretty overwhelming. The world we have today, with all of its inequality, is a product of the rules and the choices we've made. But the report also shows us that a different set of rules and a different kind of world is totally possible. So if it's true, if inequality really is a choice, the only question left is, what choices are we going to make?